Hey Dax, just thought I'd post up a quick response to your video here. It's a couple of days late, I hope you don't mind. I also hope you don't mind me writing in posting in response to this. But yeah, so anyway, this girl Annie, you've read out a paper and you asked her out, you sort of worked that in there, which was interesting. And she basically said, well, she said no, you said. Now, loved the video, by the way. Really loved the degree of genuineness, you know, that I'm seeing there. I'm picking up that there's this real you know, sort of love of life that you've got there. I mean, you're reminding me so much actually of when I was that age. And it is. It's an awesome, awesome age. It really is. It's good. Please don't let that sound too condescending. I know it probably will. It isn't meant to. That was probably really clueless. But anyway. So anyway, Annie. This was something, unfortunately, that I didn't learn until after I left high school. But one of the biggest things that I learned about girls is you can't ever, if you basically want to get with them successfully, you can't ever have the attitude that one particular girl is better than every other girl on the entire planet in your own mind. Because if you get that attitude, you're going to be terrified and you're going to screw everything up. Now, I know some people are going to be listening to that and they're going to think, well, Petrus, you're a sexist, heartless bastard. That's not true. Of course there are, and I'm not saying there aren't wonderful, wonderful women in the world. And of course they're all individuals, just like we're all individuals. But what I mean is, the single biggest killer, and you've probably seen this yourself now, is fear. And, I mean, I can remember how scared I was of girls when I was at high school. I mean, to a very large degree, I still am. But the one thing that I have realised is that fear is the single biggest killer. Right? Now, the way that I eventually, or that I got into my last relationship anyway, and sort of got, well, I don't know, reasonably close to first base in a few other scenarios, was I didn't actually, well, okay, I'm going to use a fishing analogy here. I don't know whether you've ever been fishing with your dad, but you go and find a lake or somewhere, okay, and you've got a fishing line. You throw it in the water, you bait it up, you put some really nice bait in the hook, depending on what kind of fish you're going for. You throw the line out into the water, and you get a bite on the line. You can feel the reel pulling a bit, and you know that you've got a fish on the end there, or you think you do. Now, most people, of course, are going to think the obvious thing is, well, you want to pull the line, you want to reel the fish in just as quickly as possible to prevent it from getting away, right? That's the logical response. The thing about that is that if you reel it in really, really quickly, you're going to scare the heck out of the fish. The fish is going to get off the hook and swim away before you've actually got it into you. So, I mean, there are times when you can just reel it in really, really quickly, and that'll work. But most of the time, what you've got to actually do is you reel the fish in a little bit of the way, and then you feed it a bit of line, let it go back out again a bit, and then reel it in some more, and then feed it a bit more line, let it go back out again for a little bit. Thing is, if you do this, the fish doesn't actually know that it's in the process of being caught, right? So the fish is nice and complacent and happy. It's got the hook in its mouth. You know, it doesn't know that it's actually in the process of being caught. Now, the way that this translates to women is, let's say you're at school, okay, you see this really beautiful girl who you're in class with, and you just think, man, you know, I'd really like to get to know her a bit better. So, the way that I ended up learning through a lot of, well, some anyway, horrible failures, was basically to just initially, very, very casually, go up and say hello. If you want to make it seem as though there's an actual concrete point to why you're there, rather than just saying hello, you could do something like, say, asking her the time, or something like that. Just say, oh, do you know, hello, can you tell me what time it is, please? You know, like this. And she does that, and that's cool. And that's great. You've established first contact, okay? I mean, even if it doesn't seem like much, you've said hello, and you possibly just put an image of yourself, facial image, basically in her mind. So, yeah, basically after that, leave it at that. And then maybe, say if that was second period, then say maybe after lunch, you might just come across her again and, I don't know, sort of say something else. Maybe if you shared a class together, you could, like if she made a particularly, you thought she made a particularly insightful response to one of the teacher's questions or something, you could say, hey, that was a great response. I thought you gave to such and such a question, you know. And then after that, say maybe you don't talk to her at all next day, right? And then a couple of days later, you might just talk to her again in a sort of fairly oblique way, but what you do is you gradually move it up from there. And the other thing about it is, what you'll find is that if she likes you, she'll actually start seeking you out. And then you can basically take her lead from there as to basically how often she wants to see you, sort of thing. But see, that's the other really good thing about that. If you don't chase her around all the time, that'll give you a good idea of a good way of being able to figure out whether or not she's interested. So yeah, as I said, it's a little bit more subtle. Rather than just, to use the fishing analogy again, you get a fish on the hook, rather than just reeling it in really, really quickly, because then it'll jump off the hook and swim away. You reel it in a small amount at a time, then you let it back out a little bit. Then you reel it in again a small amount at a time, then you let it back out again for a bit. And yeah, just keep doing that. And that basically was how I got into my last relationship. The relationship didn't end up going so well that I ended up wanting to keep it, unfortunately, but at least I got to the point where I was able to get into the relationship. The other thing is, I'll admit, this is something that you're never ever too young, it's never ever too early to start learning. Unfortunately, I didn't lose my virginity until I was 26 years old, okay? I learnt how to do that sort of thing way too late. So, in terms of what's happened with Annie so far, I'd probably chalk that up as a loss. But that's okay, because losses are learning experiences. So, to a degree, you basically learn what not to do, which is part of the refining the process. I mean, that happens. But yeah, and this way, yeah, if you get a handle on it before you leave school, well, you won't end up in the horrible position that I ended up in, which is the whole reason why I basically wanted to talk to you about this, because Well, I just wanted to help maybe produce a positive scenario. If not with Annie, then maybe with some other girl. There are some books, that some really good books to read on this, but I don't know, maybe that might want to wait until you're a bit older, or maybe you might want to right now. If you're interested now. Also, though, there is this other guy on YouTube called The Friendly Geek, and he knows a heap more about this than I ever will. I mean, this man is a god when it comes to women. He really is. Some of his stuff you're not going to be able to watch, probably, if you're under 18, but there's going to be some other stuff there that you will be able to watch. And he goes into a lot of detail in some of his videos about how to really, really effectively, successfully get with women, because he knows how to do it. I mean, he's done it. I wouldn't know how many times. I mean, this guy is, well, yeah. But anyway, I hope that helped.